Another interesting aspect of the hippocampal system is that it appears to play a major role when people need to navigate from place to place. In London, taxi drivers are required to learn to find their way around that very complex city without navigational aids like GPS. And it's found that they have an above average sized hippocampus. And when they imagine navigating around London, their hippocampus is active. To test the role of the hippocampus in a lab setting, subjects with no particular navigational expertise were asked to explore a virtual town. This shows a map of the town, and this shows a typical view. They explored the town using this type of view for a number of minutes, and they were then asked to go to a specific location. They were either guided by arrows or asked to find their way just using their earlier experience. And it was found that their hippocampus was much more active when they had to navigate on their own than when they followed the arrows. Furthermore, the hippocampus was more active when they found a successful route from A to B, like the yellow path, much more active than when they got lost, as in the red route. Even a less successful route, like the green path, involved rather more hippocampal activation. Another interesting insight into hippocampal processing is the existence of place fields. This image illustrates the results of recording 80 neurons in the CA1 region of the hippocampus of a rat. The rat was moving inside a rectangular area 60 centimeters by 45 centimeters, and the coloring of each of those 80 small rectangles shows the activity of one neuron while the rat was moving around inside that area. So those small rectangles correspond with the area in which the rat was confined. Red coloration indicates a higher firing rate when the rat was in the corresponding location in the rectangular enclosure. Blue coloration indicates no firing at the corresponding location. Neurons that fired almost everywhere, like the one in the green circle, were inhibitory interneurons. The other neurons were pyramidals, and you can see that pyramidals tended to fire only when the rat was in a small region within the rectangle. A different region for each pyramidal, as illustrated by those green circles. The receptive fields of these pyramidal neurons are therefore called place fields, because the neurons only fire when the rat is in one particular place. Another interesting observation is that in familiar surroundings, the inhibitory neurons fired steadily, but in novel surroundings, their firing ceased. Yet another interesting observation is that frequent patterns of hippocampal neuron activity during waking are repeated during sleep. For example, if a rat repeatedly traced a particular path within the rectangular enclosure while awake, like the green path outlined on the left, then specific place cells in CA1 will fire in order. At position 1, the circled neuron will fire. In position 2, another neuron. In position 3, yet another neuron, and so on around the path. Then back to the starting point and around again. Hence, if the path is repeatedly traced, the neurons corresponding with the different points will repeatedly fire in the same sequence. The interesting observation is that during a subsequent sleep period, those neurons will again fire in the same sequence, repeating the firing sequence that occurred while awake.